This is my assessment story about how I viewed assessment growing up as a child and where my views have gone now and what assessments I use in the classroom at this time. As a child, I remember some of the first experiences with assessment were taking spelling tests, and I really liked them. I thought they were exciting because my teacher would have us do a pre-test, and if you passed the pre-test, you were able to go outside during the post-test and have your friend give you the test. So it made me a very happy person. Other tests I remember as a child were the standardized testing where they put up the little corral and you filled in the bubbles. It didn't bother me at all. I didn't seem to have a problem with learning to read or do math. And the teacher told us it wouldn't count on our tests, so there was nothing to worry about. So we just followed along, and that was that. Later in my education, my mother told me I needed to take the SAT in order to go to college. And so one morning I woke up and I decided to go take the SAT. I didn't really study for it at all. So it wasn't stressful at all. Just was doing it as a measure to go ahead and get into college. Once I was in college, some of the assessments that I remembered are the ones that you had to remember a whole bunch of facts in history or science. And I put a big X up here because those didn't really do well for me. They were very stressful because I was being graded upon them, and I just couldn't remember everything that was learned in one course content. And I studied and I studied, and it was stressful. Wasn't until I got into the College of Education where the assessments became more portfolio based, more practical based. Here's a picture of me student teaching, and I was being assessed on my abilities to teach, and I loved it. I also loved the portfolios that we created. They were a different way to assess my abilities as a teacher. So those things felt good. At the end of college, I had to take the Praxis exam, which was a standards-based test on a computer, and it was a lot of memory-based type things, but to me they came naturally because I had practiced them so much and I was ready to take a test on the information that I've learned very, very well in a practical manner. Then I became a teacher, and here are some of the assessments I was to give to my students. Initially, I really liked the HSA Hawaii State assessment. I liked using the data to determine what kids were on level, which ones were above, and which ones were below level. And I like to use that data to plan accordingly. I didn't like, as a special educator, I didn't like watching my students struggle in sadness and disappointment when they couldn't read a thing on the screen and they were forced to go through this on a weekly basis. It was one of the saddest things I experienced in teaching, where I was forcing these kids to do this. They would end up acting out during assessment week, and it just would be a big waste of time at school. More recently, I am a special educator, and I use informal assessments in my classroom to determine where my kids are in their IEP goals and their needs. Here are some of those assessments. I got phonics assessments, decoding assessments, phonemic awareness. I use slides in order to make it quick and easy for me to assess them so that the time is not wasted. I find these are at their level and it doesn't affect them emotionally. I stop as soon as they get to before they get to a frustrational level. As a parent, I really like the STAR reading assessment and STAR math assessment that our school does. It helps me to know where my son is and keeps me informed of his progress.